think that we fail to consider the costs of deaths as a result of an abuse of a gun. And, you know, the costs are huge, both economically and in terms of the impact on a community, on family, on those close to the victim, and often on those close to the perpetrator as well. Those costs I don't even think we've begun to measure, but we know that when there's a death, there's a murder, there's going to be a big police investigation. There are huge costs associated with that. There may be an inquest. There are huge costs associated with that. There's going to be potentially loss of economic earnings, you know, so dependents that are no longer supported. There are many, many, many costs that we could be looking at that would potentially balance off some of the costs of the registry. We don't have that discussion very often. The argument that the gun registry is sexist is ludicrous. First of all, it's not gender-specific legislation. It doesn't say we will only check men and make, I mean, anybody who applies for a gun has to go through the same process. That's, I think, defensive. That's trying to turn things around. And it's inherently acknowledging that gun ownership, gun use, gun misuse is actually a gendered phenomena, which doesn't mean it's only men and never women, but it does mean that men are more likely to own guns, men are more likely to use them legitimately, but they're also more likely to use them illegitimately. That's a reality. That's the world we live in, because we do live in a world of gender inequality still. The registry isn't contributing to that. The registry is gender-neutral legislation that catches whoever in its net is potentially misusing guns. If that's men, then that's men. Yeah, it's unfortunate that it becomes a partisan political issue, definitely, and I think that as the public, turning it into a partisan political issue, we lose out, because it means that potentially governments are, if they see it as a liability to supporting the registry, then, you know, support will be softer, and we all end up at higher risk because of that kind of thinking. I mean, I think that it's a brave stand to have gun control legislation, even when it's unpopular.